And now I'd like to open the meeting to the sharing of testimonies of healing through Christian Science. Chardell from Pennsylvania, go ahead.
Good evening. First of all, I would like to thank Florence for this beautiful, wonderful reading. Thank you. A few weeks ago, my 3.5-year-old grandchild had severe symptoms that really prompted my daughter to take him to the hospital emergency room. She asked me to go along, and before we left, I called a practitioner from Plainfield and to get help, especially for my right thinking. When we arrived, everyone was very kind, and that's what I focused on, their kindness and their love. And while we were there, the physician said that the symptoms would continue for several days, and they were quite severe. I am grateful to report that the severe symptoms never returned, and that the only thing that he did was have extra naps, extra popsicles, and extra ice cream. He also returned to preschool on Monday. My thankfulness to God and Mrs. Eddy and our practitioners and Plainfield Church Independent has no bounds. Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you. Carla from New York, go ahead.
Good evening. I want to express my gratitude to God for His care. The first thing I learned at this church was to get out of God's way, because God's plan is far better than my plan. Thank you. Thank you very much for all you do, and thank you to God, and thank you for a beautiful meeting tonight.
Thank you. Luann from New York, go ahead.
Thank you. Each day for the past 2 weeks, I have had to travel on a route that took me past a 200-acre forest. I grew up in the area and have long admired the trees there. I had not traveled this road in a long time, and as I passed by, I saw that a logging company had stripped it of nearly every tree. I became very disturbed by this view, and I thought it best not to dwell on it. As I passed by each day, I was not even aware of how much anger was building up in my thoughts, or how difficult it was to hold steadfast in thought the truths I have learned. Last Friday, as I was traveling by and looking out the passenger window at all the devastation, I asked God to show me what it is I needed to know about this, yet still feeling somewhat justified in my anger. I heard a very loud crack, like someone had thrown a stone at my driver's side window. I turned immediately in that direction and saw a young doe beginning to cross the road in front of me. Even though it had snowed that day and the roads were icy, I was able to stop in time without sliding. I sat there for a moment and gave gratitude to God for His loving care of the deer and for sternly awakening me. God showed me that He is governing all the events of this life that He has given me, as easily as He provides for and protects the animals. How fitting it was that the sound I heard was the sound of the stone hitting the glass. The thought came to me that this was a provision of the Lord that provides us with lumber for our homes and the fuel to heat them. Even though what I saw was a deforested area of barren land, I had to know that all ideas of God are protected, maintained, and sustained by principle. I thought about the man responsible for planting the trees, how 40 years ago he may have felt strange about this message he had received to plant 200 acres of spruce trees, how he had let go of having any personal attachment to them. As I looked again at the area, I could now see many strong young trees standing throughout, smartly trimmed and marked with blue ribbons. I noticed a deer walking safely among them. The entire picture had completely changed. I am very thankful for the Bible study discussions we have every week that help to reinforce my understanding of God. Without the education I am receiving in Christian Science, I would not have turned to God for his guidance in this matter, and most likely would have experienced a more tragic event. And how sorrow-filled I would have been. I am very grateful for the insight of my practitioner, who helps me understand more clearly what is required of me and the importance of turning to God for every need and keeping my thoughts divine and pure. I'm deeply grateful for this lesson, for the faithfulness and compassion of the Father, and for the humility that has encouraged me to take into my heart the value of all I have been given. Thank you.
Thank you. Elizabeth from Georgia, go ahead.
First, thank you so much, Florence, for those wonderfully inspiring readings tonight. I'm grateful for a need that has been met in my business. My husband and I own some rental property, and my job is to manage them. We rent them weekly to people who vacation, and because they are located 5 hours away from us, I have to find reliable people to clean between guests as well as fix any problems that inevitably come up. And for years, it's always been a challenge to find someone who does the kind of job that ensures a high standard. I often have to travel to these areas to do the more thorough cleanings myself each season, and on Saturdays when guests check out and new guests check in, I'm usually on edge, wondering if someone will call and complain for any reason, and I have to placate them. And that's happened on several occasions. Anyway, a few months ago, a man contacted me out of the blue about his services. He and his family have a cleaning and maintenance business in one of the cities. And in his letter explaining his business, he also mentioned how he tries to live by the golden rule, doing unto others as you would have them do unto you. And so I called him, and it has unfolded so naturally that he has been able to take on the care of our property for less money and including more services than I had before, and that will completely remove my concern of managing it. And I've already received comments on how lovely and immaculate the cleaning has been. And while it doesn't seem like a big need being met, I'm very grateful for a couple reasons. First, I wasn't looking to find a new cleaner. It didn't seem to be a glaring need. But I realized I was unconsciously accepting mediocrity. And with my growing understanding of God and what he provides for each idea, this is just no longer acceptable. So it's the natural outcome of how my thought is changing to expect and demonstrate the good and the perfection in my experience. Also, all the qualities this individual expresses, diligence, thoroughness, reliability, kindness. He is a man of integrity. And in the round table this past Sunday, we talked about integrity and godliness, and that if you find someone like this, it is a great treasure. I thank God for this blessing.
Thank you. Day from Maryland, go ahead.
Thank you. This week I was scheduled to attend a work retreat from very early Thursday morning until Thursday night. This would have been well beyond my normal work hours, and though I was responsible for making various arrangements for the event and everything was in order, on Sunday night the thought came to me that it would be best for me to work my normal shift in the office on Thursday to give me the opportunity to get home in time to take care of more important responsibilities. So I was still most willing to attend and support the event. First thing Monday morning, I asked my supervisor if my attendance is necessary, and she quickly replied that my attendance is optional. She then explained that one of our expected guests had recently informed her that she was bringing along a friend who was willing to go the entire day without eating if we couldn't provide a meal for him. His willingness was appreciated, and though our staff would have gladly provided food for him by whatever means necessary, because I'm no longer attending, he's able to take my place for the catering count, and his meals for the day are guaranteed. I'm grateful for my new understanding of God's care, putting me in place to do just what is required of me, for becoming open to accepting the ideas he gives, and for seeing clearly how his provision blesses us all with just what we need. Thank you so much for tonight's meeting and for tonight's readings.
Thank you. Fairley from Maryland, go ahead.
Thank you. 2.5 years ago, I found Plainfield by searching for Christian Science on the internet. For the past 5 years, I had had periods of clinical depression, which landed me in the hospital every fall. And I was more or less forced to submit to treatment and to take antidepressants that I knew could not possibly do me any good, having studied science and health. However, though I had been a student of Christian Science for some 30 years, belonging to 2 different Christian Science churches, I could not say I was a Christian Scientist because obviously I was not succeeding. Being generously welcomed when I called Plainfield by the practitioner who answered my phone call, I found the spirit of truth and love that had been missing in my experience in Christian Science. And my life rather quickly began to turn around. I have never looked back or had anything but joy since. God has truly blessed me through all the help I have received at Plainfield. With my ever-available practitioner there, the Bible study on Saturday, and the roundtable discussion every Sunday before the church service, I continue to progress and try to live the mission of helping others. My gratitude is continual to God, Jesus, Mrs. Eddy, my practitioner, and all those at Plainfield, as well as all the whole Plainfield community who participate in so many ways. And I want to express special gratitude for the beauty of the readings tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Betty from California, go ahead.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you fine.
Thank you. During the last several weeks, I've had a dental issue involving several visits to the dentist to repair a tooth. Each time I had an appointment, I got help from a Plainfield practitioner. Each time I was met with much love and given lots to work with and to think about. Before one visit, I was very nervous and worried, and I was given pages 244 to 248 in Science and Health by Mary Baker Eddy regarding age, and was told my being is in spirit and not in matter. Also, no, don't worry, trust in God, and my being cannot be chipped away. I was asked to leave a message for the practitioner after the appointment. Well, later that morning, while working on something for church, I came across a passage from Isaiah chapter 33. It said, "Look upon Zion, the city of our solemnities. Thine eyes shall see Jerusalem, a quiet habitation, a tabernacle that shall not be taken down. Not one of the stakes thereof shall ever be removed, neither shall any of the cords thereof be broken." When I read this, I just felt very calm and peaceful and thought, my teeth can't be broken or removed. And then, even more important, neither can my connection to God be removed or broken. I held on to this until my dental time came to go to the dentist. When the time came to go see the dentist, he saw no reason not to proceed as planned. I was so very grateful for this and left a very happy message for the practitioner. I have since had 2 more visits to the dentist, both of which were very satisfactory and have wonderful help from the practitioner. I'm so very grateful for this experience and for this church and its teaching of Christian Science, and for all the practitioner help. And thank you for those beautiful readings tonight.
Thank you. Wendy from Georgia, go ahead.
Yes. Thank you for the lovely readings this evening, Florence. Last week, while walking into my dark kitchen from my dining room, I didn't see my small dog, Pebbles, who was in there eating her dinner later than her normal mealtime. I tripped over her, and my middle toe was jammed into the slightly raised marble divider strip that separates my dining room from my kitchen. A sharp pain was felt in that one toe, and immediately I turned my thoughts to God, away from the error, and focused on knowing that there are no accidents in divine consciousness. I prayed that evening to know the truth about my toe as God's perfect, immutable child. I kept my focus on the work that was at hand, never once looking at my toe or accepting any matter-based conclusions regarding its condition. The next day I noticed, since I was wearing open-toe shoes due to the warmer temperatures, that my middle toe was bent at the joint, leaning towards the left, and the entire toe had turned black and blue. Once again, I firmly rejected this mental image of my toe and the strong mortal mind suggestions that were trying to convince me that it was broken. The very next morning, as I was getting ready for work, I happened to catch a glimpse of my foot and noticed that the black and blue color had completely and entirely disappeared. There was not a single trace of any discoloration on my toe, and any prior pain was gone as well. The picture that matter had tried to paint just one day prior had thoroughly been erased. I'm so grateful for this practical, demonstrable science that Mary Baker Eddy discovered and shared with the world so many years ago. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Florence, those are beautiful readings, both from Bible and Science and Health. When I came and discovered this church we brought here, I was so very excited. But I had been used to thinking on my own, I guess they call it. So when I thought I had something to do, I was very strong-willed about it. But that's not how God works. It's only as He directs. And so I was making mistakes. But a poem that was given at the time, soon after, helped me very much by one of the early workers, Max Dunaway, and I think it got me to, I know it did, stop, pray, and listen, instead of just thinking and then doing. It goes like this. It's called Neophyte. It's on the around it's on carousel on our website. It goes, when first the dawn burst on his sight, he felt his being filled with light. He looked at all before him spread and vowed that he would raise the dead, rents gates of hell from off their bars, and laugh and fling them at the stars. The years passed by, no dead were raised, no mighty wonders man of praise rewarded him. Hell's gates remained unshaken by hopes once entertained. The light still shone, but with less fire than flamed his ardent first desire. His thoughts turned to the little deeds, the common tasks of meeting needs. He lifted up a fallen child and wiped her tears until she smiled. He helped the tired and burdened crone, someone whom he had never known. He sat beside a dying friend and gave him courage till the end, then sought to soothe the aching heart of her who felt grief's sting and smart. To say a word, put forth a hand, or just be still and understand. And years of living to be kind brought greater love and peace of mind. He learned to serve within his place, growing in gentleness and grace. And being forgotten, the gates of hell in their own weakness toppled and fell. And I found that so true. I have never had a greater peace than here after just letting God guide, listening and being sure, and being kind, and then other things, other direction I was given. So I just put that out there because it really helped me to learn to let God guide and to be kind at every opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm grateful for a blessing that I had, and it came directly from our daily quote from the calendar, which is always featured on our carousel. And today it says, "Always remember that God works with you." And the blessing was, I had been working on a project for someone for some time, and it came to a conclusion, and the time came to review the results with this person. And it looked like that she was going to have to pay a significant amount of money, and I was a little worried about breaking the news. But when I read that calendar statement, remember that God always works with you, I said, well, in which case, I will simply tell the truth because it is true. So with that, I got on the phone, and we had a wonderful discussion. And when we talked about the numbers and everything, she was so happy to find out what the results were. And her final comment was, "I'm much relieved to find out these facts." And it was a very pleasant discussion with a good result. And I'm thankful for the daily calendar because today's helped me do the right thing. And I'm grateful for it. Linda from Pennsylvania, go ahead.
Good evening. Thank you, Florence, for the beautiful readings. Tonight, I would like to express my gratitude for the many lessons that we receive here at Plainfield, one of them being the power of working for God. And I am so grateful for all the opportunities that this church provides for us, especially those that are out of town, to still be able to do this. I am learning, as many of the testifiers say tonight, to let God work with you and guide you, and not to do this for pleasing person or a sense of human duty, but really out of the desire to bless and out of the gratitude in your heart that overflows. I have learned so much during these times that I did work for the church. One of the examples I'd like to share tonight was one evening I had come home after a very, very difficult day at work, and I felt exhausted and quite disturbed. But that evening, it turned out that I needed to connect with somebody to work on an activity that I was for church, and sat down and spent a half an hour on it, and it was such a joyous experience and such a nice connection with the person. And when that half an hour was over, I felt completely lifted from the burdens I had been carrying, and such a sense of peace and gratitude. And I also am just so grateful for the beautiful support that you get from all the people as you're finding your way through and working. It's priceless. And I'm also very grateful for all the work that everybody is doing. I hope everyone has a lovely evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
I can never be grateful enough for Christian Science in this independent church, for it has torn down walls and enabled me to be with people and express good. A couple of days recently were real proof to me. At a supermarket, I thought I recognized a neighbor, so I came up behind her and I said, "Do I know you?" And it was her. And we had a brief but pleasant conversation. A short while after, a lady walked by who looked familiar, like a worker in another supermarket nearby. It was her, and I went over and we had another pleasant exchange. And then another day recently, I got into a friendly conversation with a couple of people I just didn't know at all. And this has been quite a healing for me. And I just thank God for all of these meetings and all that have been and those that will be. And it's not like I came here, but learning about God. And we're all brothers and sisters, and about His good, and it's for all of us, and sharing joy, and it has opened my life. I'm so grateful for my new life since coming here, and for all my practitioner help. Anything is possible with God. And thank you, Florence, for those beautiful readings.
Thank you.
I have a few things to read from our bulletin board. Georgia, sincere gratitude for all the lesson writers and the audio lesson readers everywhere. It is a blessing to be able to have the lesson read to you when you simply need to hear the Word of God. Costa Rica, wonderful roundtable and service this Sunday, March 22nd. Thank you, just what I needed. Texas, I just got my new Liberator magazine. It's a treasure. Thanks to everyone who helped put it together. And Pennsylvania, thank you all for the Bible study today, March 22nd. The Bible studies are inspirational and filled with truths and lessons to ponder and study. They also are fun. And then Georgia again, I just finished reading The Liberator. I loved everything. The articles, poems, testimonies, they were so powerful. My eyes filled with tears of joy. What wonderful publication. Thanks to all who contributed and put it together. Tonight we just heard Lillian's testimony, but she's also broken down many other walls. She's had someone for dinner recently and cooked a lovely meal. She's been answering in the classes and the round tables and Bible studies. She expresses a lot of joy and love, and these might seem like little things, but as some of you know, when you are dealing with problems and perhaps ways you've been all your life, it's sort of like beating yourself out of a box or something. It would seem maybe simple to someone else, but to the one who's in those chains, it seems so difficult. I know because I've been there, but when then those chains are broken down through God's love and grace, it's a tremendous feeling of liberation and joy. I'm so grateful for all the good, all the ways that people are using their science and demonstrating this step by step. I read recently where Mrs. Eddy said that when she had a problem, she would say, "Father, what would thou have me learn from this?" It's such a good question to ask. If you ever get yourself into a fix or a problem, physical, mental, financial, ask God. Ask your Father. He's your heavenly Father. He loves you like a father or mother would love their child tenderly. Ask Him, "Father, what do I have to learn from this? What more do I need to know?" And He will answer. There's always some good to be found from any problem. Demand the blessing. Don't let the problem go until the blessing comes, till you grow stronger for it, until you learn the lesson, whether it's a lesson in love or joy or maybe more giving, whatever it is, learn that lesson and you will find the problem, whatever it is, will dissipate into its native nothingness. In Miscellany, on page 149 to 150, I love this. Mrs. Eddy says, "Remember, thou canst be brought into no condition, be it ever so severe, where love has not been before thee, and where its tender lesson is not awaiting thee. Therefore despair not nor murmur, for that which seeketh to save, to heal, and to deliver will guide thee, if thou seekest this guidance." This is the kind of Heavenly Father we have. When we seek His guidance, He does come to us with blessings and healings and wings of comfort. I'm so grateful to be learning this. I'm so grateful to be learning about this good God that loves each and every one of us. Those were beautiful readings tonight, and hymns too. I'm so grateful for them.
Thank you.